This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com in review. And what I'm looking at today is the first season of Netflix's Three-Body Problem. And I went into this series with a little trepidation because it was created by D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, who also did Game of Thrones for HBO, now Max. And I hated that series. I think I watched maybe one episode, perhaps two, and I said, I'm done. The reason being, I had read prior one or two books by Geroge R.R. Martin revolving around Westeros. Let's be honest, the series doesn't hold a candle to the books. So it immediately turned me off of Game of Thrones. I was just not interested. With Three-Body Problem, which is also based upon a novel, I haven't read it. I've heard of it, though I haven't read it, possibly because people say it's very complex. And while I don't know what that means from one person to the next, I don't tend to dive into things that have complexity as their virtue. That doesn't interest me. Give me a great narrative and I can deal with complexity. For instance, Charles Stross is a great writer who has very complex stories, but, notice I said great writer. So I don't believe in complexity for its own sake. Well, I wasn't particularly interested in the novels. I might be now, because Three-Body Problem is great. It's only been on television, I want to say a week, if that, and I don't want to give away anything about it. So I think it's safe to comment upon what Three-Body Problem is. And once again, I have not read the books. And as everyone knows, to translate a book to a television show, compromises have to be made. Well, unless you're talking about the Chinese production of the same material, in which case supposedly relatively few compromises were made, and it was also insanely long. Three-Body Problem on Netflix only lasts 8 episodes, and as I said, compromises had to be made. And let's boil it down to its essence for a moment. Three-Body Problem revolves around an alien invasion. That's it. That is the heart of the Three-Body Problem. If you've seen alien invasion films, what Three-Body Problem does differently is that it works in a more realistic setting. By which I mean, sure, they're aliens, but they're aliens that, at this point in time, are more advanced than humans. That will change in the future. The series starts in 1966, where a woman is part of the Chinese Communist Party, and she's working at a radio telescope, and she receives a communication from something. She doesn't know who it's coming from, she doesn't know why it's coming from. She suspects it's not of this earth. And essentially, this woman invites the aliens to come. And what's interesting about this invitation is that the aliens warn her, or I should say the alien, I assume, that she was speaking to, warned her not to do what she did. In any case, she did. The series jumps back and forth between the past and the present. And so we meet people in the present who are dealing with the repercussions of our decision made decades ago. And as I said, Three-Body Problem is an alien invasion thriller, mystery combination. So the aliens are coming. What makes Three-Body Problem most interesting is that the aliens won't arrive for about 400 years. The series understands that just like humanity, we have not made a vessel that can approach light speed, never mind go at light speed. And the reason I mention that is because space is extremely vast. So therefore, if you don't have a vehicle that can go at the speed of light or faster, it's going to take you years to reach your destination. So these aliens, as I said, are on their way to Earth. But by the time they get here, humanity would have advanced to a state which would be able to destroy them. Because think about it for a second. These aliens are in their ships and they're traveling to Earth. Humans are just on the planet doing what we do, which is to learn about technology, grow our technologies, advance our technologies. In other words, by the time the aliens arrive, we would destroy them because too much time would have passed, our science would have advanced too far, and they would not be able to hold a candle to us. So therefore, we have the three-body problem. The three-body problem, as depicted in the series, is essentially a test. And what the aliens are trying to figure out are people who are intelligent enough to solve essentially a riddle. In fact, it's oddly similar to Ready Player One in this respect. And the humans that are able to solve this riddle, the aliens try to enlist to help their cause. Conversely, if they don't want to, let's say they're given the opportunity to solve this riddle, and they fail to do so, they are killed because they are potentially a threat to the alien agenda. And if I were to say three-body problem had a weakness, it was at least initially the venturing into this alien space, which is done through these 3D type visors. Think of it as a really sleek Apple Vision set. In any case, they're culling scientists. They are forcing them to either stop their research, because once again, research, oddly enough, is the enemy, more so than people. Because as I said, people will eventually advance far enough to destroy them by the time they arrive. So what they're concerned about is stopping research. So if they can't get you on their side, they will kill you, with the goal of preparing for their arrival. As I said, the series works in two time periods. Though in later episodes, it begins to focus on the modern day. And as I said, we start seeing the results of that Chinese Communist Party operative's actions play out in the modern day. Three-body problem is great television. The special effects are wonderful, and in fact, a lot of shots, I think, are done on the volume, which is that special effects setup that revolves around multiple cameras and a space specially designed to imitate certain things, be it planets or environments and that type of stuff. And it works really well here. Much better, I would argue, than in a movie like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quant Mania. And in fact, the only thing I think that gives the volume away is the way it tends to be lit. It feels artificial. Not bad, but artificial. Though most of the volume shots, as I said, in Three-Body Problem work really well. It's gorgeous, it's so well acted. The story goes in places that I didn't expect it to go. And in fact, I mentioned that it's in some ways similar to Ready Player One. It's also similar to Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons, the Jerry Anderson series, in the sense that I think the aliens were called the Shanti, off the top of my head. The aliens are never seen. They have an avatar. It's like this samurai type woman. But other than that, the aliens themselves are never seen in any of the first 8 episodes of Three-Body Problem. But what you do see are their machinations. Their plans are beginning to be revealed. And we come to learn that they're very likely not benevolent or kind as we would like them to be. And in the last few episodes, we come to see that the aliens start to make themselves known to humanity. And they do this by, they've created these supercomputers. Supercomputers as large as a planet, but shrunk to, they're not microscopic, but they are very small. And these two supercomputers, what they're doing are trying to, once again, continue the manipulation of humanity with the goal of retarding our technological development. Because, once again, if our rate of technological development slows enough, we will fall to them. Because we won't have the ability to counter what weapons they bring to the fore. And they also have a way of manipulating people, once again, very Captain Scarlet, into holding them in a very religious-like fervor. For instance, the main group of worshippers of these aliens calls them Lord. So they think of them as a god or a deity of some sort, and they're not. And the series just works really well. And once again, it is only 8 episodes. It is so rich with content, but at 8 episodes, I think anyone can digest it. And another thing is that it doesn't pander to viewers. It presents some very interesting and thought-provoking ideas, though for me, the idea that it limits itself is fascinating. The idea that this is not Star Wars, this is not Star Trek, where ships can go from galaxy to galaxy in minutes or hours. That technology doesn't exist now, and it doesn't exist in the world of three-body problem either. Instead, going from galaxy to galaxy by a very advanced species takes centuries to do. So it grounds things. As I said often enough, this is a great series. If you have not seen Three-Body Problem, check it out. This was the first season. Will there be a second? That's a really good question. There was an interview with David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, and what they're saying is that they're going to prepare for a second season. They have not received an okay for a second season, though they're getting things in motion in case that happens. And I really hope there is a second season of the Three-Body Problem, because it is brilliant. Check it out if you haven't yet done so. This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know down below. And as usual, consider a like or a follow. Peace.